We've all stood under the vast sky at night, gazing up at the stars, wondering, what is out there? Beyond the twinkling lights, past the vast stretches of space, lies something unimaginable, something we can never truly see, yet it's just as real as everything else. But what is it? Is there a boundary to the universe, or does it stretch on forever, expanding faster than we can comprehend? Maybe the answer lies beyond our ability to observe, in a space so mysterious and so alien that we cannot even fathom it with the greatest technologies we've invented. You've clicked on this video because, like millions of others, you're curious. You want to know, what lies beyond the edge of the observable universe? Stick with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to reveal could just change everything you think you know about space, time, and reality itself. This isn't just a story of science. It's a journey into the unknown, a deep dive into one of the most perplexing questions that humanity has faced for centuries. You won't find answers like this anywhere else, and by the end of this video, you'll understand a mystery so deep, so profound, that even the brightest minds are still grappling with it. But before I get into that, I need you to do something. Stay with me. You're not just watching a video. You're about to experience something that might just make you see the universe in a completely new light. Now, I want you to imagine this. The universe, in all its infinite glory, is vast, so vast that we can only see a fraction of it. We've sent out telescopes like the Hubble Space Telescope and the James Webb Space Telescope, peering into the dark void of space, gathering light from distant stars and galaxies. We've uncovered more of the cosmos than ever before, yet we still haven't even scratched the surface. What we see today is just a tiny fraction of the observable universe. Scientists have carefully measured the distance between us and the farthest reaches of space. Right now, we know the observable universe stretches about 93 billion light-years in every direction. That's the edge of what we can see with our technology, our understanding, and our current scientific knowledge. But what about the rest? What lies beyond that? We can't even begin to imagine the scale of what's out there beyond the reach of our most advanced instruments. And yet, that space is just as real as the stars in the sky, just as real as the earth beneath our feet. And there's one thing we can be certain of. It's there, waiting for us to discover it. Let's take a moment to think about the implications of this. If the observable universe is 93 billion light-years across, then what happens when we hit that edge? Is there a wall that we can't get past? Or is it just the beginning of a whole new realm we haven't even begun to explore? What if there are other universes out there, entirely separate from our own, that we can't even detect? Think about it. Could there be other realms beyond the edges of our universe, places where the laws of physics don't even apply the same way they do here? Maybe they bend or break entirely, revealing new dimensions of existence that we've never even thought to consider. Maybe, just maybe, there's something more waiting for us. And we're only beginning to scratch the surface. Now, let me ask you, do you want to know what's really out there? Are you ready to take that journey with me? To explore the unknown, to venture into a place where few have dared to go before? I promise you, by the time you finish watching this, you'll understand more about the mysteries of the universe than you ever imagined. Together, we'll unpack the theories, the science, and the possibilities of what could lie beyond the edge of everything we know. And trust me, some of these ideas are so mind-bending, they'll make you question everything you thought was true about our reality. This journey will take us through the mind of cosmologists, physicists, and some of the most brilliant minds who have dedicated their lives to understanding the universe. We'll explore ideas that are so complex, yet so fascinating, that they blur the line between science fiction and science fact. We'll tackle the idea of multiverses. Could there be parallel universes? Are we just one of many versions of reality? The very fabric of space-time itself might hold answers that are so outlandish, so strange, that you'll wonder how anyone can make sense of it all. You'll also learn about the ultimate fate of the universe. Will it continue expanding forever, or will it collapse back in on itself, in a cosmic cycle that never ends? There are a few theories that might blow your mind, theories that suggest we could be on the brink of discovering something truly revolutionary. But hold on, there's a twist. While we dive into these mind-expanding theories and ideas, there's something we must keep in mind. Not everything we talk about here can be fully understood or proven, at least not yet. Some of what lies beyond the edge of the observable universe may remain a mystery for a long time, hidden from us forever. But that's what makes it so thrilling. The fact that we don't know everything yet, the fact that there are still questions without answers, is what keeps us searching, keeps us exploring. It's what drives scientists to look deeper, to push the boundaries of what we can understand, and ultimately, it's what drives us, you and me, to seek the truth. You see, curiosity is the spark that ignites all of this. It's what makes us look up at the night sky, wonder about what's out there, and yearn to know more. It's that same curiosity that brought us here today. And let me tell you, by the end of this video, you'll understand just how far that curiosity can take us. Now, I'm sure by now you're thinking, okay, but what exactly is out there? What does it mean for us? And I hear you. You're waiting for that moment of revelation, for the part where all the pieces click together. Don't worry, I'm getting there. You're going to learn about some of the latest theories that scientists have proposed, and they're more exciting than you might think. We'll talk about the mysterious cosmic inflation that may have created the very structure of the universe we see today. We'll delve into the possibility that the universe is infinite, stretching far beyond what we can observe, and I'm going to explain why that's such a groundbreaking idea. Plus, I'm going to introduce you to some of the weirdest phenomena in space, phenomena that might give us a glimpse of what lies beyond. But first, we have to answer one burning question. Are we ever going to know the truth? Can we, with our limited technology, ever reach the edge of the universe, or will it forever remain out of reach? The answer to that question might just surprise you. But to get there, we first need to unravel a mystery. And trust me, it's one you don't want to miss. Stay tuned. As we continue to venture deeper into this cosmic mystery, let's take a moment to understand just how bizarre the situation really is. Imagine, for a moment, that you're part of a group of scientists who have spent years, maybe even decades, trying to piece together the biggest puzzle in the history of humankind. You've been working in the dark, surrounded by the strangest phenomena in the universe. It's a job that requires patience, intellect, and a willingness to face the unknown. And yet, after years of research, you're suddenly presented with something you weren't expecting. Something so strange that it shakes the very foundation of your beliefs about the universe. This is where our story begins. Meet Dr. Sophia Clark, a brilliant cosmologist whose career has been built on unraveling the mysteries of the cosmos. Sophia has always been a driven woman, obsessed with understanding the universe's origins and its eventual fate. For years, she worked alongside some of the brightest minds in the world, studying the cosmic microwave background radiation, decoding the mysteries of dark matter, and pushing the boundaries of what we know about black holes and neutron stars. But as much as she loved her work, Sophia could never escape the nagging feeling that something was missing. A piece of the puzzle that was just out of reach. It wasn't until one night, deep in the bowels of a secretive observatory in Chile, that Sophia uncovered something that would change everything. The observatory, nestled high in the Andes Mountains, had one of the most advanced telescopes in the world. This wasn't just any telescope, it had the capability to peer deeper into space than any other instrument. Sophia had been working tirelessly, running simulations, analyzing data from distant galaxies, when she noticed something strange in the readings. At first, she thought it was a glitch, a malfunction in the system, but after checking and rechecking the data, she came to a chilling conclusion. There was something out there, something beyond the observable universe. It wasn't just the usual cosmic background noise or a distant star. This was something else. Something far more complex and possibly alive. But that's where the mystery deepens. Sophia's discovery wasn't the first of its kind. In fact, for years, there had been whispers among the scientific community that there might be something lurking beyond the edge of our knowledge. Researchers had theorized that what we could observe might just be a tiny slice of a much larger reality, one we could never fully grasp. Some speculated that the very nature of space-time could bend in ways we couldn't even imagine, and that there were hidden structures and phenomena just waiting to be discovered. But Sophia's data was different. It wasn't just theory anymore. It was evidence. concrete evidence that something lay beyond our grasp, something that had been there all along, just waiting for the right moment to be revealed. As the days went on, Sophia became more obsessed with her discovery. She couldn't stop thinking about it. The idea that there was something out there, something that we couldn't see, gnawed at her. She began to run more tests, rerun the simulations, analyze every bit of data in search of a clue. The more she delved into the mystery, the more it seemed to pull her in, as though the universe itself were trying to tell her something. But the deeper she went, the more unsettling the findings became. There were inconsistencies in the data, small anomalies that didn't fit the known laws of physics. It was as if the universe itself was pushing back against her, refusing to let her uncover the truth. And yet, she couldn't stop. She couldn't let go of the nagging feeling that she was on the verge of something truly extraordinary. But she wasn't the only one who had noticed her breakthrough. In the weeks that followed, whispers about Sophia's discovery began to spread throughout the scientific community. Some of her colleagues were excited by the implications of her findings, while others were more skeptical. They warned her to be careful, to not get too carried away with her obsession. After all, the universe is a strange place, and not everything is meant to be understood. But for Sophia, the thrill of the unknown was too strong to ignore. She couldn't turn back now. But it wasn't just the scientific community that took notice. As word of Sophia's discovery spread, other forces began to take an interest in her work. Unseen and often mysterious groups, with their own agendas, started to monitor her progress. There were rumors of powerful organizations and even government agencies trying to gain access to her findings, desperate to control the knowledge she had uncovered. People close to her began acting strangely, as if they were hiding something. Sophia's colleagues started to become distant, and some even seemed to turn on her, questioning her methods, doubting her conclusions. The pressure was mounting, and the deeper she dug into the data, the more it seemed like someone, or something, was trying to stop her from revealing what she had found. It wasn't long before strange occurrences began happening. Late at night, when Sophia would stay in the observatory to analyze her findings, she started hearing noises, footsteps echoing through the empty halls, shadows moving in the corners of her vision. At first, she dismissed it as her mind playing tricks on her, but soon she couldn't ignore it. Someone was watching her. And it wasn't just the quiet whispers of her colleagues. There were more sinister forces at play, forces that seemed intent on preventing her from uncovering the truth. But what was the truth? What did she really discover? As Sophia continued to push forward, the answers seemed to slip further away, replaced by more questions, more red herrings. The data didn't add up. It seemed to change every time she looked at it, like it was alive, shifting, adapting. Could it be that the universe itself was trying to communicate with her? Or was there someone or something out there manipulating her every move? The more Sophia dug into the mystery, the less she understood, and the more dangerous her journey became. One thing was certain, though: whatever lay beyond the edge of the observable universe was far more complex, far more dangerous, than anything anyone could have ever imagined. And someone didn't want that secret to get out. But who?
And why?
Could there be a force, an entity, lurking just beyond the veil of our perception, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? Sophia was about to find out, whether she was ready for it or not. But as the pressure mounted and the walls seemed to close in, one question remained unanswered. Would she be able to escape the forces that were closing in on her, or would the truth consume her before she had a chance to share it with the world?
Stay tuned.
The real mystery is only just beginning. As the days passed, Sophia began to feel the weight of the mystery pressing down on her with a growing intensity. The more she dug, the more the universe seemed to fight back, revealing layers of complexity that threatened to swallow her whole. The anomalies in the data became even more bizarre, twisting in ways that defied all explanation. But it wasn't just the data that started to betray her, it was the very world around her. A sense of paranoia began to take hold. The walls of the observatory, once a place of scientific wonder, now felt like they were closing in on her, as though something, or someone, was watching her every move. It was impossible to shake the feeling that she wasn't alone, that there were eyes in the shadows, waiting for her to slip up, to make a mistake. And just when she thought she might be on the verge of uncovering the truth, the unthinkable happened. It was a quiet afternoon when the key piece of evidence that had been central to her findings suddenly vanished without a trace. The data, the one thing she had been relying on to prove her theory, was gone, completely erased from the system. At first, Sophia thought it was a simple technical glitch, a freak accident. But when she reached out to her colleagues, asking if anyone had been working on the files, she was met with silence. No one had touched the data. It was as if it had simply disappeared into thin air. Panic set in as she desperately tried to recover the files, only to find that they were irretrievable. The realization hit her like a cold wave. Someone didn't want her to know what she had uncovered. The more she tried to dig into the disappearance, the more she felt the walls closing in. Unbeknownst to Sophia, there were people, powerful people, who had been watching her every move since the moment she made her discovery. Her every action was being monitored. Her every step was being tracked. And now, it seemed, they were willing to go to extreme lengths to ensure she wouldn't uncover the truth. But who were they? And why did they want to keep her from revealing what lay beyond the edge of the observable universe? Were they afraid of what she might find? Or was there something more sinister at play, something that threatened to upend everything we know about the universe? As if the situation weren't precarious enough, a new complication arose. Dr. Eric Matthews, a colleague from her past, reached out to her after weeks of silence. Matthews had always been a trusted ally, someone she'd worked closely with during her early years at the observatory. But something in his tone when they spoke on the phone that day made her uneasy. He urged her to stop digging into her findings, to walk away from the project before it was too late. He sounded almost frantic, as if he knew something she didn't. Sophia, taken aback by the urgency in his voice, tried to press him for more details, but he remained vague, offering no real explanation. His final words, however, lingered in her mind long after the call ended. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. Trust me, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into." Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that Eric knew more than he was letting on. But why would he warn her to stop now, after all these years of collaboration? Was he genuinely concerned for her safety, or was there something darker behind his sudden change of heart? There had always been an unspoken tension between them, a thin veil of competition that neither had ever fully acknowledged. But this felt different. It felt like a betrayal. Despite Eric's warning, Sophia refused to back down. She couldn't let fear dictate her actions, not when she was so close to the truth. She began digging into his background, trying to uncover anything that might explain his sudden reluctance to support her work. What she found only deepened the mystery. Eric had been involved in a secretive research project years before, one that had been abruptly shut down after a catastrophic incident. The project had been linked to studying cosmic anomalies, similar to the very thing Sophia had been investigating. But the details of what happened remained a closely guarded secret. Why hadn't Eric ever mentioned this? And why had the project been shut down so suddenly? Was there a connection between his past and the strange events that were unfolding now? As the pieces of the puzzle began to shift, Sophia found herself questioning everything. She couldn't help but wonder if Eric had been keeping something from her all along. Was he hiding something more than just a past failure? Could he be involved in the efforts to stop her from revealing the truth? Or was there a more dangerous force at work, one that was willing to manipulate anyone who got too close to the edge of the unknown? And then, just when she thought things couldn't get any worse, she received a cryptic message late one night, the kind that made her blood run cold. The message was simple, but the implications were clear. You're not the first to ask these questions, and you won't be the last to pay the price. The sender was unknown, the message untraceable, but the warning couldn't have been clearer. Someone or something didn't want her to uncover the truth. Sophia was now caught in a web of lies, betrayals, and threats. The deeper she dug, the more dangerous the game became. And as the tension mounted, she found herself facing a terrifying question. Who could she trust? The people closest to her? Or was the real enemy something far more insidious, a force beyond her understanding, one that had been pulling the strings from the shadows all along? Sophia was about to discover the most shocking truth of all, but would she survive long enough to reveal it?
Stay tuned.
The answers are closer than ever, but the stakes have never been higher. As Sophia continued to wrestle with the mounting tension, something unexpected happened that threw her into even deeper turmoil. It wasn't just her own investigation that was now at stake. As if on cue, an old friend, Jenna, a fellow researcher who had once worked with her at the university, contacted her, claiming to have received a message eerily similar to the one Sophia had just gotten. Jenna was someone Sophia had trusted with her thoughts and ideas, someone she had confided in during their shared time at the observatory. Jenna had always been pragmatic, grounded, and skeptical, but now, something in her voice over the phone was unmistakably shaken. Jenna confessed that she had been receiving strange, anonymous messages for days, and they had been getting progressively more cryptic and threatening. The first message, she told Sophia, had been a simple warning: stop before it's too late. But the second one? It was far more unsettling. A detailed list of things that only Jenna and Sophia would know. Personal details about their lives, about conversations they'd had, about their research, as if someone had been watching them for months, perhaps longer. The chilling realization hit them both at once. They weren't just dealing with some abstract force or cosmic phenomenon. They were being watched, targeted, manipulated by someone, maybe even something, who knew every intimate detail of their lives. The stakes had just been raised to a level neither of them had anticipated. Sophia's mind raced. Was this the same force that had been manipulating her investigation? Was it possible that this conspiracy, or whatever it was, had now escalated to include those around her? Could someone within their own circle be responsible, feeding the threat, feeding the fear, feeding the paranoia that was now swallowing them both whole? Sophia tried to comfort Jenna, telling her that she would dig deeper into this, that they needed to stick together. But she knew it wasn't that simple. As she hung up the phone, a sense of dread settled in. How far did this go? How many more people were being pulled into this tangled web? Were they being used as pawns in some larger, more dangerous game, one that neither of them fully understood? The idea that someone close to her, someone she had trusted, could be behind all of this began to gnaw at her. Was Jenna being targeted because of something Sophia herself had uncovered, or was there something about Jenna's own research, her past, that had brought her into the crosshairs? Just when Sophia thought she might have a handle on the situation, something happened that caused everything to spiral out of control. A new piece of evidence surfaced, one that contradicted everything she had believed to be true. It was a single photograph, tucked away in a long-forgotten folder on the university's shared server. The image appeared to be an astronomical survey taken years ago, one that had been dismissed by the scientific community as a misinterpretation. But there was something in this photo, something that had been missed before, something that made Sophia's heart race as she zoomed in on the details. In the background of the photograph, barely visible to the naked eye, was an anomaly, a pattern of stars, too symmetrical to be natural, too precise to be random. It wasn't just the stars themselves. The arrangement seemed intentional, a clue hidden in plain sight. It was a message, a map, perhaps, leading to something far beyond the observable universe. Something even more profound than she had initially imagined. But the moment she attempted to share this discovery with Jenna, everything began to unravel. Jenna was unreachable, her phone going straight to voicemail, her email inbox filled with unread messages. Panic set in as Sophia scoured her contacts, trying to figure out where Jenna had gone. Had she been taken? Was she in danger? Or was Jenna playing some kind of game of her own, one that Sophia didn't fully understand? Just days before, they had been colleagues working together. But now, it seemed that something had changed, something was off, and Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that Jenna, too, had become part of the mystery, perhaps even an unwilling participant. It wasn't just the disappearance of Jenna that threw everything into disarray. The more Sophia investigated, the more she uncovered disturbing connections between the university's past research and the secretive group she had learned about earlier. A name kept resurfacing in her search, one that had once been a beacon of scientific achievement but had been buried in scandal. Dr. Isaac Wells, a former astrophysicist who had disappeared under strange circumstances many years ago. Wells had been involved in some of the most cutting-edge research on cosmic phenomena, but there was something dark about his theories, something that made others in the scientific community uncomfortable. Could Wells have been onto something that no one else had dared to touch? Was his disappearance tied to the strange events that were now unfolding, or had he uncovered something so dangerous that they were still trying to erase every trace of his work? Sophia found herself obsessively digging into Dr. Wells' past, but the deeper she went, the more elusive the truth became. Every lead she followed seemed to lead to another dead end, another layer of lies and misdirection. The more the pieces fell into place, the more Sophia realized how little she actually knew. Jenna, the messages, the photographs, the disappearing evidence. Everything felt like a game that was being played on a scale far beyond what she had originally imagined. Someone was orchestrating this from the shadows, pulling strings, manipulating every turn of her investigation, every relationship, and every piece of data. Sophia began to question everyone she knew, unsure who to trust anymore. Was Eric involved in this somehow? Was Jenna hiding something from her? And who was Dr. Wells, really? Was he the key to everything? Or was he simply another pawn in this dangerous puzzle? With each passing day, the line between friend and foe grew blurrier, and as Sophia pushed forward, desperate to uncover the truth, she found herself facing an impossible decision. Does she continue down this treacherous path, knowing that it might cost her everything, or does she pull back, knowing she may never have the answers she so desperately seeks? The tension was now unbearable. The game had changed, and Sophia realized that she wasn't just investigating the edges of the universe anymore. She was fighting to survive. And the questions kept multiplying, the answers kept slipping away, and soon, it wasn't just her life at risk. It was the very fabric of reality itself. Would Sophia be the one to crack this puzzle wide open, or would she become just another forgotten name in the annals of a dark conspiracy that reached far beyond the stars? It was late one evening when the darkness began to feel less like a natural part of the world, and more like something suffocating, something stalking her. Sophia had been pacing her apartment, her mind frantically piecing together the fragments of clues she had uncovered. The photo, Jenna's disappearance, Dr. Isaac Wells. Every thread was pulling her deeper into a maze with no way out. Her heart raced with each turn, each revelation that came too late. There was a feeling in the pit of her stomach, a deep sense that she had crossed a line, one she couldn't go back from. She hadn't been able to reach Jenna for days now, and no one in her circle had heard from her. The silence was deafening, and the more she thought about it, the more she realized that she wasn't just searching for answers, she was running out of time. It was around midnight when the phone call came. The number was unfamiliar, a blocked ID. At first, Sophia hesitated, her thumb hovering over the screen. She wasn't sure she wanted to hear it. She had been receiving strange calls for days, all of them eerily quiet, with only the occasional crackle of static before the line went dead. But tonight, something in the silence of the night made her answer. Sophia, the voice on the other end said, a rasping whisper that sent a chill down her spine. It wasn't Jenna, though it could have been. The voice was male, deep and coated with an unsettling calm, as if the speaker had been waiting for this moment. You're digging too deep, he continued. Stop now. Before it's too late. Sophia's blood ran cold, but she stood frozen, listening intently. The voice was smooth, calculated, almost predatory. She tried to respond, to demand answers, but the line cut out abruptly before she could speak. For a moment, Sophia stood there, her phone pressed to her ear, the world around her becoming suddenly too still, too quiet. It was as if the very air in her apartment had thickened, clinging to her skin. Her mind raced, trying to process what had just happened. Was this a warning? Was it a threat? And who the hell was behind it? It was clear now that the stakes were higher than she had imagined, but she had known that already, hadn't she? Every piece of evidence pointed toward a force that was far beyond her control. Shaken but unwilling to back down, Sophia grabbed her jacket and left the apartment. She needed to get out of her head, needed to see the world beyond her own four walls. As she stepped onto the street, she realized she was alone alone in the sense that the entire world felt out of reach. The city lights flickered, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch too far into the alleyways and dark corners. She kept walking, the rhythm of her footsteps steady but uncomfortably loud in the empty night. It wasn't until she reached the corner of her block that she noticed it. Someone was following her. At first, she thought it was just her paranoia, the culmination of days of sleepless nights and constant stress. But as she crossed the street, the footsteps behind her grew closer, more deliberate. Someone was definitely walking in sync with her, matching her pace, just enough to stay hidden in the periphery of her vision. She could feel the presence, a heaviness, an oppressive weight, pressing down on her, as if the darkness itself was breathing down her neck. Her mind raced. Was it the same person who had been sending the threatening messages? Was it someone who knew too much about her investigation? Or was it just a coincidence, someone out for a late-night stroll, just like her? She had to know. She quickened her pace, but the footsteps remained right behind her, unwavering. Panic began to set in, an instinctive sense of danger that she couldn't shake. This wasn't just a coincidence. Sophia rounded another corner, hoping to lose whoever was following her in the maze of alleyways. Her heart hammered in her chest as she glanced over her shoulder. The figure was still there, just a few steps behind, dressed in dark clothing, their face hidden beneath the hood of a sweatshirt. The figure's presence was unsettling, something primal in the way they moved, slow, deliberate, but with a sense of purpose. Before she could react, a car screeched to a halt beside her. The passenger side window rolled down, and Sophia froze, her breath catching in her throat. It was a man she didn't recognize, but his eyes were sharp, calculating. He didn't say a word at first, just stared at her, studying her, his gaze unwavering. For a split second, Sophia felt like prey, cornered by something she didn't fully understand. "You need to stop digging," he said, his voice cold and steady. "This is your last warning." Her stomach dropped. The message was clear. Whoever was behind this wasn't just playing games anymore, they were taking action. Sophia felt a surge of fear and urgency rise in her chest. She had to get away. She had to get out of there, but the realization hit her hard. She wasn't safe. Not anymore. Not anywhere. The car sped off before she could react, leaving her standing there, her pulse racing, the cold night air swallowing the remnants of the moment. But as she turned to continue her walk, hoping to shake off the fear, she realized something even more disturbing. She wasn't alone anymore. The person who had been following her was still there, just a few paces behind, closing in. Sophia's mind spun wildly, her heart beating faster than ever. Her rational mind screamed at her to call the police, to run, to find help. But she knew she couldn't trust anyone. Whoever was behind all of this had already infiltrated every corner of her life, and she had no idea who could be trusted. Her fear wasn't just about the person following her. It was about the vast web of lies and danger she had tangled herself in, and now there was no way out. As she walked, her eyes darting nervously to every passing face, the realization sank in deeper. She was no longer in control. She wasn't just dealing with a cosmic mystery or a simple conspiracy. She was up against something far darker, far more dangerous, something that would stop at nothing to keep its secrets buried. The threats were real. The danger was closing in, and Sophia didn't know how much time she had left. The footsteps behind her grew louder. Closer, closer. She could hear them now, a slow, steady rhythm. And then, just as quickly as it had started, the sound of footsteps vanished. She spun around, but the street was empty. For a moment, she thought she had imagined it. Then her phone buzzed.
It was a text message.
"Don't trust anyone. They're all involved." Her heart skipped a beat. The text had no sender, no identifying number, just the chilling words, hanging in the air like a dark omen. What did it mean? Was it another warning? Another threat? Or was it a clue, something that could lead her to the heart of the conspiracy? Sophia's head spun with fear, confusion, and dread. What had she gotten herself into? And who, or what, was she really up against? The night was far from over, and the mystery was only getting darker. Sophia couldn't shake the gnawing feeling that everything was starting to unravel. The mysterious threats, the hidden messages, and the strange warnings all pointed to one thing: danger. But now, with the unsettling text message on her phone, everything she thought she understood about the investigation suddenly felt wrong. She had been chasing answers, believing she was uncovering a truth hidden for years. But what if the truth wasn't what it seemed? What if everything was part of a much bigger, more insidious plan? It wasn't until the next day, when she met with Dr. Isaac Wells again, that the weight of the realization hit her. She had started to trust him, despite the strange atmosphere surrounding him. The way he spoke in cryptic half-truths, the way his eyes seemed to know too much, like he was hiding something. But he was the expert, the one person who had seemed to understand the forces at play in the mystery. And yet, when they sat down together in his office, something in his demeanor shifted. His usual calm was gone, replaced by an edge of something darker. Something desperate. "You've been asking the wrong questions," he said abruptly, his voice steady, but there was an undertone to it now. Something like urgency, maybe even fear. Sophia's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "I've been trying to understand what's happening, what's behind all this." Isaac leaned forward, his fingers pressing against the desk in a tense grip.
No, Sophia.
"You've been following a trail that's been designed for you to follow. Everything you've uncovered, everything you think you know, it's been planted. This has been manipulated from the very beginning." Sophia stared at him, her mind struggling to piece the words together. This didn't make sense. Isaac had been the one who helped her connect the dots. He had guided her, given her pieces of the puzzle, but now he was saying it was all a lie? "I don't understand," she whispered, feeling the ground shift beneath her. "Who planted it? Why?" Isaac's face hardened, and for the first time, she saw something in his eyes that sent a cold chill down her spine, a flicker of fear. He opened his mouth to speak but hesitated, looking as though he was weighing the danger of his next words. "Because the answer you're looking for is not outside of you. It's been inside you all along." He leaned back, his voice low, almost a whisper. "The entire investigation, everything that's happened to you, it's been orchestrated to lead you to a single conclusion. To make you think you're uncovering something when in fact, you've been chosen." Sophia's pulse quickened. Chosen for what? Isaac's eyes darted around the room, as if to make sure no one was listening. He lowered his voice even further, his words coming out in a hushed breath. "You're not just a bystander in this, Sophia. You're the key. This whole thing, it's not about some cosmic conspiracy or secret organizations. It's about you. You've been manipulated into playing a role, and I've been helping you walk straight into it." The world seemed to tilt. Everything she thought she knew, every clue, every step, had led her to this moment, this shocking revelation. The fear she'd felt up until now paled in comparison to what she was hearing. She felt the walls close in around her, the air growing thick with tension as Isaac's words sank in. Chosen. But for what? Isaac continued, his voice tight with the weight of his confession. "You've been pulling the strings without realizing it, Sophia. The people following you, the messages, the texts, they've all been a part of a much larger plan. And I'm a part of it too. I was supposed to guide you, keep you in line. But now, it's out of my hands. You need to stop digging." Sophia's mind raced, trying to process what he was saying. Her hands trembled as she clutched the edge of the table. "Why didn't you tell me this before? Why didn't you warn me?" Isaac's face softened, and he sighed deeply, as if the weight of guilt had finally caught up with him. "Because I didn't want you to know. I didn't want you to become the thing they were preparing you for. The investigation, it wasn't supposed to end like this. You weren't supposed to find out the truth. But now, I don't know how much time you have before they come for you." Sophia stood, her head spinning. The pieces that had seemed to fit so perfectly suddenly shattered into chaos. Who could she trust now? Who had been pulling the strings, and why? And who was they? The answers she had been searching for were slipping further away, slipping into something darker and more dangerous than she could have imagined. The truth wasn't just buried, it had been carefully crafted to stay hidden. As she stumbled out of Isaac's office, her phone buzzed once again. Another text, but this one was different. The truth is closer than you think, Sophia. But you're not ready for it.
Not yet.
They'll stop you before you can ever get the chance to understand. Sophia's breath caught in her throat. Who was behind these messages? Was it Isaac? Was he playing her all along? Or was it someone else entirely? Someone with a plan she could never have anticipated? And then, a thought hit her, one she couldn't shake. What if she had never been meant to uncover the truth? What if she was never supposed to know anything at all? The mystery she had been chasing wasn't just about the universe, or the conspiracy, or Jenna. It was about her. And what she had uncovered was more terrifying than anything she could have imagined. Sophia knew one thing for certain. The game had changed. And now, she was playing in a much darker reality than she had ever prepared for. The lines between truth and deception had blurred, and it was no longer about solving a mystery. It was about survival. Sophia couldn't escape the suffocating feeling that her world was closing in on her. Every step she took, every piece of information she uncovered, only seemed to plunge her deeper into a web of lies, manipulation, and fear. Her phone buzzed again, and with a sinking heart, she read the message that now seemed to haunt her every waking moment. You've gone too far. Stop now, or we will make you stop. It was the same warning, but with a sharper edge. The words were cold, but the underlying threat was unmistakable. The people behind this, whoever they were, weren't just playing games anymore. They were closing in, and Sophia knew that if she didn't make a choice soon, she might lose everything. She found herself standing at a crossroads, staring at a situation so far beyond her control that it felt like she was standing on the edge of a precipice, unsure of whether to leap or turn back. The one person she thought she could rely on, the one person she had trusted more than anyone else, was now the biggest threat to her safety. Jenna, her best friend and the person who had been with her since this whole nightmare began, had disappeared without a trace. The texts had stopped coming from her phone. The messages that once offered help or comfort had turned silent. Jenna had become a ghost, and Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that she knew far more than she had ever let on. As if on cue, her phone rang. The screen flashed with an unknown number, and despite every instinct telling her to ignore it, she answered. Sophia. The voice on the other end was strained, urgent. It was Jenna. Jenna? Where are you? I've been trying to reach you. Everyone's looking for you. I'm looking for you. What's going on? What happened? Sophia's words rushed out, her voice cracking with the desperation she felt. She had no idea who could be behind this, who was manipulating her or why. But Jenna's sudden silence spoke volumes. I can't talk. Jenna's voice was barely a whisper, as if she were hiding in the shadows. It's not what you think. You have to stop looking for answers. You don't understand what's at stake. Sophia's heart sank. She knew something was wrong, but this wasn't what she had expected. What do you mean stop? Jenna, I need you. We need to figure this out together. I can't do this alone. There was a pause, a long silence that made the air around Sophia feel suffocating. You already are, Jenna finally said, her voice shaky, and that's why I have to warn you. If you keep going down this path, there's no turning back. You don't understand the consequences. You'll never be safe again. Sophia felt a cold chill creep up her spine. Consequences? What are you talking about? I can't explain it. But trust me, if you want to survive, you need to walk away. Forget everything.
Forget me.
Forget all of this. The line went dead before she could respond. The ringing in her ears filled the space where Jenna's voice used to be, and Sophia was left standing in a whirlwind of confusion and panic. What was she supposed to do now? Jenna was in danger, and yet, the warning felt so much more personal. Forget everything? The very thought made Sophia's blood run cold. She couldn't know. She wouldn't forget. She was already too deep. A few hours later, Sophia met with Isaac again, trying to make sense of everything that had happened. She needed answers, and she needed them fast. Isaac was no longer the confident, composed person she had once known. His eyes were wild, his demeanor erratic, as though the weight of something dark was pressing down on him. "You've made a mistake," he said, his voice sharp. "You shouldn't have pushed this far. You should have let it go before it got out of hand." Sophia shook her head, trying to suppress the panic rising inside her. "You knew something, didn't you, Isaac? You knew more than you let on, and now Jenna is gone. She's disappeared, and I need to know why. I need to know the truth." Isaac looked away, his jaw tightening, as if the words were a physical burden. "I didn't want you involved in this. You were never supposed to know the full truth. It's bigger than both of us. And now you've dragged yourself into it. I tried to protect you, but I can't keep you safe anymore." Sophia's breath caught in her throat. "What do you mean? What is this about, Isaac? You're part of it now. And I can't protect you from what's coming. You're too far down the rabbit hole, and there's no way out." He took a step back, his eyes dark with regret. "You have to make a choice, Sophia. You can keep pushing forward and risk everything, or you can walk away now and try to live with what you've learned." The gravity of his words slammed into her. She was standing on the precipice, with a choice she never asked for, and one that would shape everything to come. Her mind raced with the implications of Isaac's confession. Walk away? But how could she? How could she let go of the truth now, after everything? The pieces of the puzzle were finally starting to align, but the more she uncovered, the more she realized that the truth wasn't just dangerous, it was deadly. There were no easy answers, no safety in knowledge. The more she dug, the more the threats piled up, the more the danger closed in. "I can't just walk away," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I need to know what happened to Jenna. I need to ND what this is. What I am." Isaac's eyes darkened. He took a deep breath, as if bracing himself for what he was about to say. "If you don't stop, they'll come for you next. You don't know who they are, but I do. And they won't stop until you're gone." Sophia felt her heart race. The walls were closing in. And just as she was about to ask him for more, a message popped up on her phone. It was from Jenna, or at least it appeared to be. The message was short but chilling. "Sophia, don't trust Isaac. He's not who you think he is." Her blood ran cold. The person she thought she could trust the most, someone she had considered a lifeline, might be the one who had been manipulating her all along. Was it possible that Isaac had been playing her? Or had he genuinely been trying to protect her, and now his own life was at stake, too? The phone rang, a call from an unknown number. It was Jenna's voice, but something was different. Her tone was desperate. "Sophia, you need to make a choice. They're coming for you. And this time, no one can help you." The words echoed in Sophia's mind. She had been warned. But now, she was running out of time. She had to decide, would she protect herself, or would she risk everything to uncover the truth, even if it meant losing herself in the process? Every part of her wanted to fight, to keep searching for the answers. But the weight of the decision bore down on her, threatening to crush her under its intensity. The truth was so close. And yet, the cost of finding it could be too great. There was no going back now. Sophia felt the weight of the world pressing down on her as the phone call ended. Her heart pounded so hard against her chest, it almost felt as though it might explode. Every warning she'd received, every piece of information she'd uncovered, had led her here, to this moment. The truth was so much darker, so much more dangerous than she ever could have imagined. She had believed, no, hoped, that it was all part of a twisted game, that someone was just toying with her. But the message from Jenna, the cryptic words from Isaac, and the threats that had escalated from vague to direct, all pointed to one terrifying conclusion. She wasn't just involved in a small mystery anymore. She was in the middle of something that stretched far beyond her, far beyond anything she could have predicted. Her mind was racing. She paced back and forth, trying to piece together the fragments of information she had gathered. Isaac's words echoed in her head. "They'll come for you next. You don't know who they are, but I do." The thought made her feel sick, but she couldn't afford to back down now. The stakes were too high. Jenna had vanished, but the messages were clear. This wasn't about one person, one event. This was bigger. And there were more people involved. So many more. Sophia's phone buzzed again, this time with an anonymous text message that sent a chill through her entire body. You should have listened to Isaac.
It's too late now.
You're part of something much bigger than you realize. The truth will destroy you. The words felt like a weight, pressing down on her chest. Who was this? And how had they found her so easily? There were too many questions, but no time to answer them. She slammed the phone down onto the table, her hands shaking with a mix of frustration and fear. Every step she'd taken had only led her deeper into a labyrinth of deception. No one had been honest with her. Not Isaac. Not Jenna. Not even the people she thought were trying to help her. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about everyone who had ever been involved, whether they knew it or not. People were being pulled into this conspiracy without even realizing it. And it was spreading.
Fast.
Sophia thought back to everything she had learned, all the pieces she had put together. The mysterious messages. The strange disappearances. The cryptic threats. What started as a single, seemingly isolated incident now felt like it was the tip of a much larger, much darker iceberg. The more she thought about it, the more everything clicked. This wasn't just a personal vendetta. This was systemic. A network of people, connected in ways she couldn't even fathom. People at the highest levels of power, people who were watching, manipulating, pulling strings from the shadows. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from Isaac. She answered it quickly, desperate for answers, for any shred of hope she could cling to. I didn't want this for you, Sophia. Isaac's voice crackled on the other end. It sounded strained, more desperate than she'd ever heard him. They know everything.
They know about you.
About Jenna. They know about all of it. You don't have much time. Her mind reeled. Who are they, Isaac? Who's behind this? Why is this happening? I told you before, he said, his voice shaking. It's not just about you. It's bigger than you think. It's bigger than anything we've been told. The line went quiet for a moment, and Sophia's anxiety only grew as she waited for him to continue. The silence was unbearable. She could hear Isaac's breathing, ragged and hurried, as if he was on the run. Were you not telling me, Isaac? She demanded, the urgency in her voice rising. Who are you really working for? There was a long pause, followed by a heavy sigh. I never wanted you to find out, but it's too late now. It's too late to turn back. Sophia felt her pulse quicken. Tell me.
Now.
It's a project, Isaac whispered, the words barely audible. A covert operation that's been going on for years. People you trust, people you never even suspect, they've been working together on something huge. And you're caught in the middle of it. Her stomach twisted with dread as the realization hit her like a physical blow. This wasn't just some personal vendetta. This wasn't a case of simple lies and betrayal. This was a conspiracy. A massive, orchestrated operation that had been running beneath the surface for far longer than she could have ever guessed. And now, she was entangled in it, a pawn in a game far too dangerous for her to understand fully. The people involved weren't just criminals or rogue agents. They were connected to the very fabric of society. They were the people who held the power, who controlled everything from behind the scenes. You have to get out of this, Sophia. Isaac's voice crackled again, full of fear. You have to stop asking questions. You have to stop looking for answers. They'll kill you if you don't. Her blood ran cold. Kill me? Who is this, Isaac? Who's going to kill me? Who's behind this? A long pause.
A breath.
Then, Isaac spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. Your father. He's the one behind it all. The words hit her like a punch to the gut. Her mind scrambled to make sense of what he had just said. Her father? But that didn't make sense. Her father was a simple man, a man who'd always kept to himself, who had lived a quiet life. A man who had no connections to anything dangerous, to anything like what Isaac was describing. Or at least, that's what she'd always believed. What? She gasped, her voice cracking with disbelief. What are you talking about? My father has nothing to do with this. Isaac was silent for a moment. Then he spoke, his voice urgent, almost pleading. He does now, Sophia. He's been pulling the strings all along. He's the one who set everything in motion. I've been working for him.
I've been working for them.
And now, it's too late. They'll come for you, and they won't stop until they've finished what they started. Sophia's world tilted. She stumbled backward, trying to make sense of what Isaac had just told her. Her father? How could he be involved in something so massive, so sinister? It didn't make sense. It couldn't. But the more she thought about it, the more everything started to click into place. The strange behavior, the late nights, the secretive meetings. It was all pointing to the same conclusion, and the more she resisted it, the clearer it became. But she didn't have time to process it.
Not now.
Because Isaac was right. They were closing in. Whoever they were coming for her. And there was nowhere to hide. The walls were closing in, and Sophia realized that there was no escape. The conspiracy was too vast, too deeply rooted. She was in way over her head, and now it was a race against time. Would she be able to uncover the truth before it was too late? Or would the people who'd been pulling the strings all along finally silence her for good? Sophia's heart raced as she stood before the door, the weight of everything she had uncovered pressing down on her like a suffocating cloud. The dark, empty hallway stretched before her, leading to a single room at the end, a room that had once seemed ordinary, a place where she had spent countless hours as a child, filled with warmth and memories. But now, it was the doorway to the truth she'd been fighting to uncover, a truth she wasn't sure she was ready for. Her hands shook as she reached for the handle, every instinct screaming at her to turn back. But there was no turning back. Not now. Not after everything she'd learned. Behind her, the faint sound of footsteps echoed, a reminder that time was running out. She wasn't alone. She hadn't been alone for days now, not since that cryptic phone call from Isaac. He had told her to stay away, to stop digging, but she couldn't. If she stopped now, she would never know the full story. She would never understand why all this had happened, why her life had been turned upside down by a conspiracy that had infiltrated every corner of her existence. As she pushed the door open, the dim light inside the room flickered. There, standing in the middle of the room, was the one person she had never suspected, the one person who had orchestrated everything. Her father. His back was turned to her, his figure silhouetted against the window as he stared out into the night, his posture stiff and rigid. The man she had known as a quiet, unassuming father was now something else entirely. The mystery that had haunted her for so long was suddenly, painfully clear. He was the one behind it all. Father? Her voice barely rose above a whisper, the word foreign on her tongue. Her hands were clenched into fists at her sides, but she wasn't sure if it was from fear or anger. All those years, all those nights, all those strange encounters, it was him. He was the one pulling the strings. He didn't turn around immediately. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then, with a slow, deliberate movement, he finally spoke, his voice colder than she had ever heard it before. "You should have stayed away, Sophia," he said, his tone devoid of any warmth, any emotion. "But I guess, in the end, you were always meant to find out. It's in your blood, after all." The words sent a chill down her spine, and her mind reeled, struggling to make sense of what was happening. "Why?" she demanded, her voice cracking. "Why did you do this? Why me?" Her father turned slowly, his eyes cold and unreadable. There was no trace of the man she had known, only a stranger, someone she no longer recognized. The man who had raised her, who had once been her protector, was now the architect of her nightmare. "You were never supposed to know," he said, his voice low. "You were always a pawn in this game, Sophia. Just like everyone else. I made sure of it. But the moment you started asking questions, the moment you started digging, you sealed your fate." Her mind was spinning, but one thing was clear. Everything she thought she knew was a lie. The strange disappearances, the cryptic messages, the betrayal, it had all been him. Her father wasn't just a part of some conspiracy. He had been the mastermind. And now he was trying to finish what he had started. "You were never meant to find out the truth," he continued, his voice growing darker, more sinister. "You were meant to be a part of the plan, a tool to be used, nothing more. But now, you've become a liability." Sophia took a step forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "You've ruined everything," she whispered, her voice trembling with a mixture of fury and disbelief. "You've destroyed my life, my trust in everything and everyone. And for what? What is this all about?" Her father's expression hardened, his eyes narrowing as if weighing her every word. "It's not about you, Sophia. It's about control. Power. The world is changing, and we're the ones who will shape it. The people who run this world, the ones you've been chasing, they are just pawns too. But me? I'm the one who will set the course." Sophia felt the floor beneath her feet shift, a heavy weight settling in her stomach as the full gravity of his words hit her. Her father wasn't just involved in a conspiracy, he was at the very center of it. Everything that had happened to her, every twist and turn, had been orchestrated by him. And now, she was nothing more than a piece to be sacrificed in the name of his ambition. "You're insane," she spat, her voice rising with the raw emotion that had been building inside her for days. "You don't care about me. You don't care about anyone. This isn't about me. It's about your own twisted power trip." Her father's eyes flickered with a hint of something. Regret?
No.
It was more like calculation, as if he were seeing her for the first time, appraising her as though she were an obstacle that needed to be removed. "You always were too idealistic, Sophia," he said quietly. "You couldn't see the bigger picture. But that's okay. You'll understand in time." Sophia felt the surge of adrenaline flooding her system. She had to act fast. She couldn't let him get away with this, not after everything he had done. Her heart raced as she reached into her bag, fingers brushing against the cold metal of the small recorder she'd stolen from his office. It was the final piece of evidence, the key that would unravel everything. She had no idea what she would do with it after this, but she knew she couldn't leave without it. But as she pulled the recorder from her bag, she heard the unmistakable sound of a door opening behind her. A shadow fell across the room, and she turned to find Isaac standing in the doorway, his eyes wide with something that resembled fear. Or was it regret? "Sophia, you don't understand." Isaac's voice cracked as he stepped into the room. "It's not what you think. Your father, he's just a part of something bigger. Something that goes back decades." Sophia's world spun again. Her breath caught in her throat as Isaac's words echoed in her mind. Something bigger? This was never just about her father. This was about something else, something far more dangerous. The conspiracy was deeper, more insidious than she had ever imagined. And Isaac? He wasn't just an innocent bystander. He had been a part of it all along. Her father's lips curled into a twisted smile as he watched them both. "You didn't think you could escape it, did you, Sophia? You're in it now. All of you." The door slammed shut behind Isaac, and for the first time in her life, Sophia realized there was no way out. She was trapped, caught in the web of lies and manipulation her father had woven, and now it was too late to turn back. Every choice she had made had led her to this moment, and the truth, the full truth, was more terrifying than she could have ever imagined. And then, just as she was about to make a move, the lights went out, plunging the room into complete darkness. A low chuckle filled the air, but it wasn't her father's voice. It was someone else's. And in the darkness, Sophia realized the game was only just beginning. The darkness in the room was suffocating, and Sophia's pulse raced as she struggled to make sense of the chaos that had unfolded. Her father, the man she had trusted her entire life, was the mastermind behind everything, behind the lies, the manipulation, and the conspiracy that had wrecked her world. Isaac's betrayal stung with an intensity she hadn't expected, but as the flickering light slowly returned, a realization began to settle over her. She had no choice but to face the truth, no matter how horrifying it was. The game was not just about power or control, it was about survival, and the more she fought, the deeper she was pulled into its endless abyss. The seconds felt like hours as she reached for the recorder, her fingers trembling. It was the only thing she had left that could expose everything. But as the dim light illuminated her father's cold, calculating gaze, she understood. She didn't need the recorder anymore. It had all been recorded in the chaos, in the very fabric of her existence. The pieces of her life had always been shattered, scattered, but now they were coming together, revealing an unbearable truth she had never imagined possible. Sophia. Isaac's voice broke through her thoughts, his tone desperate. You have to understand. It's bigger than this. We never had a chance. They've been watching you, watching all of us for so long. You can't walk away from this. Sophia's mind swirled. She thought about the years she had spent chasing down answers, the lives lost, the friends who had vanished, and the weight of the lies that had been fed to her. In the end, she had gotten everything she needed, but at what cost? She turned her gaze toward her father, now standing still, arms folded, expression unreadable. I know what you've done, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. But it's over. I won't be your pawn anymore. Her father's eyes darkened, but there was no anger in them, only resignation. You think you can change this? You're already too deep, Sophia. You've made your choice, and now you'll have to live with the consequences. The word stung, but she was beyond being swayed. She had faced down her own fears, unearthed the darkest secrets, and come face to face with the monsters that hid in plain sight. But what she hadn't realized until now is that the monster wasn't just the ones behind the scenes. It was the world she had trusted, the people she had loved, and the blind faith she had placed in them. As she turned to leave, the recorder still gripped tightly in her hand, Sophia's heart heavy with the weight of what she had uncovered. The sound of her father's voice stopped her. You can walk away, but you'll never be free, he warned. You'll always be a part of this, no matter how far you run. She paused, looking back over her shoulder one last time. The finality in her father's words echoed in her mind, but she knew in that moment, with an almost eerie certainty, that she was done. She had played the game, uncovered its truths, and now it was time to walk away, no matter what that meant for her future. But as she stepped out into the cold night air, the feeling of being watched crept up on her again. The feeling that had haunted her since the very first clue had fallen into her lap. She looked over her shoulder once more, the weight of everything she had learned pushing down on her chest. The world had changed, and so had she. There was no going back to the life she had known. And as the screen faded to black, the final message came through on her phone, unreadable, encrypted, just a string of numbers. The text message that made her blood run cold. It's not over. You're still being watched. The story she thought was behind her was far from finished. The game had changed, but the players? They were still out there. And Sophia? She was just another piece on the board, caught in a web of mystery that might never truly be unraveled. As the credits rolled, the questions lingered in the air. What happens next?
Who can you trust?
And is there really any escaping the past? With every answer Sophia had uncovered, more mysteries had only deepened. The last twist wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something even darker, something more terrifying than she could have ever imagined. And as viewers sat in the silence that followed, the eerie feeling remained. Nothing is ever truly over.